2, 1. Wellness Week Live. What's up, everybody? I am DJ Anthony, your host. Hey, I have a special guest today on Wellness Week Live, PhD and pastor of Metro Community Church in Englewood, New Jersey. Pastor Peter, thank you for coming on to Wellness Week Live.
It is great to be here. It's weird that you call me Pastor Peter because you never call me Pastor Peter. I'm just Peter to you because we grew up together since we were
Well,
kids.
in full disclosure to the viewers and listeners, Peter and I have been friends since actually he just celebrated his 50th birthday, and it occurred to me that you and I have been you're probably, I would say, my longest continuous friend. We go far back as 1984, so it's, that's another show, but friendship, but yeah. So in full disclosure to everyone watching, yes, Peter and I are friends. He is the pastor of the church I go to, Metro Community Church. But so I wanted to lead in with that because I wanted to talk about faith and health, and as Christians or anybody, any religion, Jew, Muslim, Hindu, I think sometimes we think I don't know, that faith and health is separate. Like being moral is other things. Don't steal, don't rob, don't do drugs. But somehow, like, I can abuse my body, I can, live on cheese doodles and fried this, fried that, and I can drink beer all the time, and that's okay. That's not a problem. So you tell me what you think. Let's just start off with that. I mean, am I wrong to say, like, we should respect our bodies physically, or is that something that Christians should do?
Absolutely, I believe so. And I would just tell the audience that, Anthony takes nutrition very seriously. I mean, the guy, I hang out with him on the regular, and you do take your body seriously. You care about what you put into it and stuff like that. So you really practice what you preach. But absolutely, there are three areas that make up a person. It's their emotional side of their life, there's the physical side of their life, of course, and then it's a spiritual side. And you really cannot have spiritual health unless there is physical health. And so they both go sort of hand in hand. And there's a passage in 1 Corinthians 6. Paul the Apostle says that the body is the temple of God. It's the temple in which the Holy Spirit resides. So it says that you are to care for your body. You are to honor God with your body. And so obviously what you put into your body is really important. And you should really care about health. It's not really about you. It's not just so that you can live long, but it's really to honor God. And so there is a real deep correlation between your body, your health, and also your relationship with God. So it's really important. Sure.
I'm trying to tell these people, and we all know people. And listen, I'm no saint. God, God knows I'm a sinner. But yeah, it's just like I find that people tend to be more interested in their spiritual salvation than God gave us this body. This is a gift, and I see so many Christians just destroying it. And I'm not talking about they're shooting heroin, which is a type of destruction too. But I mean, like, again, like, you're living on cheese doodles, beer, and soda, and juicy drinks, and you're sitting and you're sitting and you're sitting. Like, you're not. You think that's cool, like, and again, I'm not perfect, but it strikes me funny that Christians forget that one though. Okay, so Pastor Peter, let me ask you, how does your faith help you to stay healthy, you particularly?
Yeah, so listen, I wish I was on this journey for a very long time, but I have not actually. Actually, if I'm going to be very honest with the audience and with you, Anthony, and you knew me during this time when we first started Metro. I mean, I was really unhealthy. I mean, I ate the cheese doodles.
Yeah,
I just didn't work out. I just thought working out and being healthy was kind of being vain.
Right.
But I started to see how it was really affecting my physical health, was really affecting my spiritual health. I mean, I remember I came back from Korea. I went on a trip out there to do some ministry. I came back and it took me well over 30 days to get over jet lag. And part of that was because I was so unhealthy. And I really felt at that moment, I felt like there was, God was pushing me and saying, you really need to start taking care of your health. And then from that point on, I said, you know what? I got to be careful. I got to start exercising. I got to start eating healthy. And I got a friend, a mutual friend, we know him, Taylor. And I just said, listen, I need your help. I really need you to help me because I know I'm not going to be able to do this. And so I think if you've struggled with food your whole life, you can't just expect your own self-will to help you to get healthy. I think you should have some people to help you out. And so I had a good friend who understood nutrition. He was a physical therapist and he understood it. And I just said to him, I said, would you please help me? And he said, if you're really serious about this, you have to give me 6 months of full control of your diet for 6 months. And I will control what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. And you got to exercise 6 days a week, no rest, right? 1 day rest, but 6 days you need to exercise. And he says, if you can do this for 6 months, then I think you're going to be set. And that's really what helped me. So he helped me to recalibrate myself. And, it's not that I eat healthy all the time, but I try to eat healthy as much as I can. But I do exercise still very regularly, about 3 to 5 times a week. It's really important for me. But I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for other people. And I think that's the thing. It's community that's really important. You need to have other people to keep you accountable and to help you with this, especially if you struggle with food, especially if you've really struggled to lose weight. You shouldn't worry about trying to do it all on your own. You should have some people help you. So I sought some help, and that really helped me. And I realized that as that was happening, I was going deeper in my relationship with God, like so much deeper. And I really saw the connection between spiritual and physical health. And because of that, I'm a huge proponent of it. I really am. I am a huge proponent of it.
And Taylor's been on the show twice here, and
Oh, has he? Okay, great.
yeah. He's, if he keeps it up, he'll be a regular. But I mean, yeah, I think I got to start paying this guy. No, but you're right, and you hit the nail on the head right there. Accountability, and I think we have accountability, and you always say this, and I agree. Having your soulmate, and it can't be your spouse. It has to, well, it could be your spouse, but in addition to, you need another soulmate, accountability partner for your spirit. But you need an accountability. We need accountability partners for our body, and like, if you think about it, I think you and I, without even knowing it, right, we're accountability partners for each other with our physical health, because we're always cycling, we're going to play tennis, but I think people need those types of people around them. We don't, just, you are the company you keep. And if I'm eating cheese doodles and drinking soda and juicy drinks and what do you think's gonna, So, but yeah, so accountability is important, and I like the fact that you said that, Taylor, and I agree. And we're going to touch on this in about another question or two, but 6 days a week, exercise, eat right. On that seventh day is that Sabbath. And by the way, I'm not saying I never have an ice cream or a soda, but it's like, once a year type of deal stuff. It's not, I'm not part of my weekly thing. And I think, Peter, it's kind of sad, because I always say 8 out of 10 health problems we give ourselves. When people say like, oh my God, how did I get type 2 diabetes? I can tell you. I can tell you how you got that. Like, that's not bad luck. It's not. It's what we put in our bodies. Anyways, I had all that stuff going on, like the high cholesterol and this and that, and years ago. And I was just like, they want to put you on pills. I'm not against pills, but I'm like, hey doc, can I first take a look at my life? Is that possible or no? Anyway, but all right, so. Yeah, and accountability is so important. And
you're prescription free, right? You don't take any prescription for your health.
From your lips to God's ears, I'm 50. I'm on zero meds.
Right.
I mean, zero.
Same here.
That's right.
That's my goal. That's my goal is to stay off the meds as long as I can.
And people might say, first off, my goal is to be like your mother. Your mother is almost 80. She's on no meds, and right.
Zero
and I said,
med.
I have to honor Amma, because it's not luck. It's not genetics. Your mother puts in the work. She's exercised. She eats right. She has good connections with people. She goes to church. And so, you're on zero meds. I'm on zero meds. That's not luck. That's not genetics.
That's right. That's right.
Pastor Peter and I busting our butts. I work, and when I say work out, I'm not like dying, but like I get up and I move 2 hours a day. There's no excuses. I tell people, listen, if you got time to watch Netflix, if you got time to vape, if you got time to drink beer, you got time to get up, even if you just walk and play. Like, we put the effort in. I want to have soda. I want to have cannolis. I want to have junk food, but I don't. I have vegetables and lean meats and fruits, and I stay away from anyways, blah blah blah. But I'm saying I'm no superhero, and neither are you. It's just putting in the time and the effort, and you get rewarded for that. And anyways, I get it. Bad luck happens, and you can't prevent all diseases. But I would say 8 out of 10 you can. So I wanted to ask you this. So that's my goal too, right? To make it to whatever, an old age and not be on meth. So, all right, you mentioned this before, but if you can rattle off again the Corinthians, I think you said. So what does the Bible say? I'm sure there's many parts in the Bible that say this, but what does the Bible say? What can you, off the top of your head, what does the Bible say about one's body and honoring one's body?
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, that's really the main text, 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. I mean, it really talks about how important it is for us to honor God with our bodies. And so what we put into it really it's really important. And taking care of it really is in many ways kind of worshiping God and creating the perfect landscape for God to really work in your life in a very powerful way. And so incidentally, the thing about this, Anthony, is that unfortunately, pastors and clergy sometimes are the most unhealthiest. I mean, you'll see that there's so many overweight pastors and clergy and things like that. And I just want to say to my fellow clergy members, like, I mean, you have to get in shape. I mean,
Right.
as
You're
spiritual
representing
leaders,
the Lord.
we have to set the model. It's not about looking good, but it's really about this understanding that we really cannot be deeply spiritually healthy unless we're also physically healthy and emotionally healthy. Those are all the three major tenets of being a human person, but it's really critical. And so, I speak this to my people in my own profession. It's that we have to try to be healthy. It's not about looking good, but it's about honoring God with our body. Jesus Christ came in the flesh. He came in the flesh, and Jesus Christ took care of himself in the flesh as well. And in the first century, it was much easier to be healthy because they didn't have the kind of foods and the processed foods that we had, right? And they only ate like one meal a day at most, so they were just healthier in general than we were. We eat all the time. We never stop eating because there's such a
Right.
plentifulness of food and things like that. But there is such a deep correlation between the body and then our spiritual souls in our life. So I do highly encourage the listeners to get serious about it, and to really consider that to be something that they would kind of put a lot of energy into it. So yeah.
I can hear it now, Pastor Peter. People will be like, "Oh, but Pastor Peter, you don't understand. I'm busy." Okay, Peter, how many children do you have? Go ahead.
I have 3 kids. I have 3
You
kids.
married, right? You married,
I'm
right?
married. Yeah,
You're
we're all
the lead
busy.
pastor of the church. You're a busy guy, and you find time to
We're all
do.
busy.
I own 2 businesses, and I have
Right.
family too. You got to find the time, people. There's no excuse. I
You
mean,
got to
because
find
your
time.
life and your honoring God depends on it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, by the way, when you mentioned about like not being on any meds, you're 50 on 50. There's the CDC just released a study, and you can look it up if you like, folks. And by the way, we're not 2 doctors. We're not giving any healthcare advice. Always check with healthcare professionals. But
Definitely.
they say in the CDC's website and all medical journals, exercise, just simple exercise, getting up, moving, simple exercise is more powerful than any antidepressant pill. That's not my opinion. That's a recent study that came out. So if you're going through stress and anxiety, like I am, I have a therapist, but you know what? Exercise is more potent, more powerful than a pill. That's not my opinion. Go look it up. So yeah, it's really important. So I wanted to say, okay, so let's talk about now faith, praying, talking about mental health,
Yeah.
praying and mental health, or praying and healing. What could you tell people watching the importance of praying and having a prayer life and healing? How does that work? Or
Yeah, prayer is really important. I mean, it's if you believe in God, you believe in like my faith, you believe in Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior, you actually do have to pray. Praying is not about God doing things in your life. Sometimes we misunderstand that. We think, well, I got to pray so that God can do some things in our life. God already knows what we need in our lives.
yeah,
Prayer is about growing in greater intimacy with God. It's about hearing God speak to you through it. And it's really about that kind of intimacy. And I think over the years, whether it be the Protestant faith, the Catholic faith, we've kind of made prayer to be like, hey, just go to God and ask him to do things for you and pray, say prayers. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. So I think if you have prayer requests, you should pray and ask God for those things. I think he loves to hear that from his people. But prayer really is an opportunity for you to connect with God. And, the only way, and, I always tell people that the best way for us to really grow and be spiritual in our lives is when we can really be enchanted with God. I mean, when you're enchanted with someone, I mean, like, you don't have to work for it. If you're enchanted, like if you're single and you meet a girl and you're just like, I am so enchanted with this person. Like, you don't have to try to muster up energy to go see this person, connect with them, take them out on a date and stuff like that. And prayer is an opportunity for us to grow in our enchantment of God, our
right,
enchantment of Jesus Christ. And that's really one of the best things. And I like to sort of, kind of be in silence. And silence is one of the best things for me, just to be quiet. And what I like to do is I just kind of like to process a lot of things, sometimes what I'm feeling. And I bring that before God in terms of what I'm feeling emotionally, things like that. And it
yeah,
really helps me. And so prayer is a lifeline. It's a lifeline to get to know who God is. And as you do that, I think he'll give you the energy, the encouragement to live your life fully for him. And, and that would help you to become more physically healthy, emotionally healthy, and so on and so forth. And so prayer is really a lifeline. It really is
yeah.
towards healing.
You bring up a good point, and I know you always say this at church, and you say, God's not a genie. Don't go asking. And that's what I've learned too. And that's like you said, it's not we shouldn't ask God for things, but look, if God had to be crucified and suffered and died, then who the heck am I? Like
Yeah.
I'm supposed to suffer too. I don't want to suffer.
Yeah.
And you know my story, and I know your story. I've been through a little suffering, and to say the
Yeah.
least. And I learned many years ago. I'm going to stop asking God for stuff. I'm just going to ask that God walk with me, because I used to get very stressed when I would ask God for stuff. I'm like, God, I need the job. I need the job. I got to get a good grade. I got to get the girl. And then I was like,
Right,
I'm
right.
out over this. Like, God, please, help my grandmother. I'm like, you know what? So now I'm a lot less stressed, because I just say, God, just walk with me. That's it.
Yeah.
And I find myself more at peace like that, because I know, in our faith, Jesus was stressed. Jesus was crucified. Jesus had, he had trials and tribulations in his life.
Right.
Christ had it in his life. Who the heck am I not to have it in my life? So,
Sure.
and again, we don't want that, but yeah. So I ask God to walk with me, and I don't treat God like a genie anymore, like an ATM. Like,
Yeah.
God, but
Yeah, he's more than a vending machine of blessing. Like sometimes we treat him like a
right,
vending machine of blessing. We kind of go in, punch the numbers in, and hopefully we'll get a blessing thrown our way. He's more than
right.
that for sure. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, no. Now let's talk about Sabbath. It's funny. I have,
Mm.
we all have, you and I both have Jewish friends. And actually, I have a lot of colleagues and customers who are Hasidic Jewish. And I used to
Hmm.
always not understand how serious they took Sabbath. I used to be like, oh,
Hmm.
whatever. As I've gotten older, I'm like, you know what? The Jewish people got it right. They don't
Right.
mess around. Sabbath is no joke, dude. It's like, no, 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 no. No phone, no car, no TV, no radio, no movie, and you're going to be with your friends and family. And now, as an older human, I really see the wisdom in the Jewish way of Sabbath. And so let's talk about how
Sure.
important it is, because Sabbath is part of our health, and we don't Sabbath. I think us Christians, we 7 days a week we're
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
so let me just set up the theological precedents for Sabbath and why it's so important that we do observe it. There are two reasons why we observe the Sabbath. Number one is to, in many ways, imitate God, right? God even needed a Sabbath. He created the world in
right,
6 days, and then on the seventh day, he decided to rest. So if God needed to rest and he's God, what does it say about us, right? God really knows us. He created us, and so he knows where our limits lie. And so that's important. The second aspect to why we observe the Sabbath is to be reminded that we're no longer slaves anymore. The reason why the Jewish faith takes it so seriously was because when they were in slavery in Egypt for 400 years, they couldn't take a day off because they were slaves. So for them, it was a luxury, but they couldn't do it because they were slaves. And they take it so seriously because they're reminding themselves that they're no longer slaves. They can take a day off because they're God's children, and they can take a day off and rest. And so that's the reason why we fast. We fast because we imitate God, and we fast also because we're reminded that we're no longer a slave to our jobs. And unfortunately, we live in a time where we sort of idolize being busy. Everyone loves to be busy. They love to do a lot of different things. We champion the multitaskers. If you're a multitasker, like, we love that. The more you do, the better. And that's actually just not right. You actually commit violent acts to your soul when you're that busy. So Sabbath is a way for us to rest. It's a 24-hour period where you rest from your full-time vocation, and it comprises of three things. The first thing you do is that you stop. You stop doing whatever it is you have to do in terms of work. You just don't do it for 24 hours. Number two, you rest. You actually rest. You rest, whether it be sleeping in a little bit more, just resting so that you can be recharged. And then the last thing you do on your Sabbath is you do something that you delight in. What do you delight in? What brings you life? So, like Anthony, you and I like on my Sabbath, I love to go to Brooklyn with you and ride our bikes. And then we eat amazing Brooklyn pizza. We have some amazing dessert, and then we ride our bikes back. Like, to me, that brings me so much delight. I love playing tennis with you on my day off. Like, we go and we play some tennis. So I'm asking myself, what do I delight in? What kind of feeds my soul so that I can be ready to go to work the next day? And so that's why Sabbath is so important for your own physical health, but also for your spiritual and emotional health, that you actually have a day where you can rest and you just kind of dedicate that to God in that way. So Sabbath isn't about you sleeping all day. Sabbath is about stopping, resting, but then you also do something you delight in. And as you get older, we do so little things that we actually delight in. And that's so sad. As we get older, we should do more things that we delight in, but we end up doing less because we're so busy and we're doing so much work. And so I think that's oftentimes very detrimental to our health.
yeah, no, yeah, I agree with you. I couldn't agree more. Uh, and yeah, so people, we have to take that serious, that day of rest. I mean, and don't worry, you'll still be successful. You'll be more successful if you give yourself a
Yeah,
break, because even sports,
absolutely.
even NASCAR, they got to take a pit stop, right? Why? You got to rest that car, change the tires, you get whatever,
Yeah.
So, okay, in closing, let's talk real. My last thing I want to touch on is, faith and our mental health, and how, you kind of touched on it. People being busy 7 days a week, and I think it's a detriment if we think that we can go through this life. And I do try this oftentimes. Like, I don't need God. I'll just do it on my own. And I find when I say that, I make my life a lot harder. No man,
Yeah.
no woman is an island. And if you're gonna go it alone, you're gonna fail. It's gonna be very, very difficult. I think, you know, we need faith. We need God. And listen, I'm no pope. I always tell people, what they say, mustard seed of faith. I have a half a mustard seed of faith. However,
Yeah.
we need, talk about the importance of having, when you feel like you have God on your side or walking beside you, versus going it alone. I don't know, man. I think life is a lot more doable when you have a faith. What do you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. We were never meant to be a lone ranger here on life. And I think that the sad thing is, and Anthony, you and I have had some conversations about this in the past, the older we get, we start to realize how much harder it is to actually develop a relationship with God, but also develop relationships with people. It's just a challenge. And I would say this, oftentimes your relationship with God is reflected by the types of relationships you have with people. And so it's important that if you actually do believe in God, you actually have some friends that actually believe in God with you, so that there's ways in how you guys connect and you guys help each other to grow spiritually in that way. And so it really is critical. If you kind of go at it by yourself and you're just going to, sort of say, hey, I'm going to be my own God, I'm going to do my own thing, good luck. But people really struggle with that. And, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, those are the ego years. Those are the ego decades. And when you hit your 20s and 30s, you have a lot of aspirations. A lot of us, we say we want to retire when we're 50. We'll make millions of dollars by then, all that stuff. And then what happens is that when you get to your 40s, your ego no longer plays a significant role in your life like it did in your 20s and 30s. And as a result of that, you start to realize, oh my God, like whether you achieved your goals or whether you didn't, it doesn't matter. You could have achieved it or you couldn't have achieved it. Men and women, but especially men, will hit a midlife crisis. And that's when they
Right.
go buy a convertible. They got to figure something out because they're just like, life wasn't meant to be living just for my ego.
Right.
And you start to realize, I don't have friends. I don't have people around me. I don't know God. I just focused on living for myself. And we were never put on this earth to live for ourselves. We were actually put on this earth to live for God and to have a relationship with him, and to know that we're loved, that we find our identity, not in our jobs, not in anything else, but our identity in being a child of God. And you won't know that if you're not willing to walk with him, if you're not willing to Sabbath and take care of yourself and really try to grow even in Christian community. We need to be around people who believe also in God so that we can grow together, because you just can't do it by yourself. So it is absolutely paramount. We cannot survive in this world alone. And you read the statistics. I mean, more and more depression is at its all-time high. Everyone is struggling. And I think we've come to realize that, man, no, it's just different. And in America, we're so individualistic. If you look at all the individualistic societies, it's always the Western countries, but we are number one. We rank 91 out of 100%. 91% of this country. In America, we're more individualistic. And that's really dangerous, because then we just want to live our lives just for ourselves. But when you go to other countries, they're actually more communal. Like in the Asian culture, the Eastern culture, it's really about the whole unit, right? Making sure the unit benefits and not just one person. And so I just think also because of our culture, we're kind of taught to just be very independent, separate ourselves from people. And I think that's very toxic. That goes against faith, and it really goes against our Christianity. And we actually do really need people to be around us so that we can grow in our relationship with God, but in our relationship with other people. And we realize that we're not alone. And I don't know about you, but I go through a lot of hard times in my own life. And I need to have people in my life that I can lean upon to pray with me, but just to give me advice, but also just some people that'll just kind of like be in solidarity with me and join me in my pain. I need that in order for me to be a healthy person. If I'm trying to deal with this all by myself, that's what leads to oftentimes depression, shame, and all that kind of stuff. And then it just really deteriorates the quality of your life. So that's really hard.
You hit the nail on the head. And I think you said it once, our relationship to God is like the cross, not only vertical, us to God, but us to each other, horizontal.
Yeah.
That cross. So yes, us to God, but also us to us. It's all intertwined. And I think men, particularly men, and women too, but more men struggle with that. We look like, what are you being a sissy for? Shut up, suck it up, don't talk. Yeah. it's killing us, dude. So
It
but I'm
really
on
is.
to that. So yeah, I mean, it's I'm grateful for our church, our community, and the friendships that we have. And like, yeah, men have a hard time making making friends after high school or college, and
It's so hard.
yeah,
It's so
it's
hard.
important.
I see that happen with people in our church, and it's just
Yeah,
harder and harder. And when you live your life and you don't really have friends and you get older, like our mutual friend, Pastor David Hosang, he just said men that get older and women that get older and have no friends, they just get weird. They just
yeah,
get weird.
yeah,
They're more weird because they don't have any type of social interactions. And as a
right,
result of that, they just get weird. And so
right,
it's just really important that we're reminded and that it's important that we find sort of our understanding of who we are. We grow in self-awareness through our relationships with people, and we grow in deeper awareness of who God is through our relationships with people. So it's really important that we try to do that. And I think that'll help us. And for me, I work out at Maven. And when I do that, I don't have to go to the gym and figure out what am I going to do. I just go there and they already have a workout all pre-planned. And it's great because I
right.
get to meet people. We have friendships. We're laughing. We're working out together. We're keeping each other accountable. And it's just a lot of fun. And so, like, for me, that works for me. Everyone's different. But for me,
Right.
I found this really works for me. So I'm never going to stop doing it. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to keep on going. So that's kind of what I found to be my rhythm.
Yeah. Mind, body, spirit connection. Well said.
Absolutely.
I'm going to leave it right there, Pastor Peter. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up this awesome episode?
No, man, you look really good in that red background, man. I like that.
Hey, this is my studio, brother. I got the light like I'm a saint behind me, but
Yeah, man, I like that. You got that little halo over you,
I
kind of.
do what I do. Right. I have a halo. Can you imagine me? All right. But yeah. So, anyways, but awesome, dude. All right. Pastor Peter, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe.
Thanks,
Thank
Ant.
you, Pastor, for taking the time. I'm going to sign us off on five,
All
four,
right.
three, two, one. Thank
Take care.
you. Bye bye.